Hey yo, what's up guys, and welcome to my PS3 hacking guide. I decided to release this guide because there were so many questions here on YouTube where people keep asking me, can I jailbreak my PS3, can I play backups and some other stuff. And I just wanted to clarify all these things and give you a short overview over all PS3 hacking methods. This guide is written by me, but I used some useful tutorials and also some pictures, and the link to these tutorials and pictures is at the end of the video. And now let's get started. Okay guys, here's a little intro to clarify some things. So I don't want piracy talk here in the comments, so please don't talk about piracy, and also don't post illegal links. With illegal links I mean links to upload sites or torrent sites where you can download games, so those links will get deleted. And if you have questions, please leave a comment under this video, because then I only have to answer this question once, and I don't have to answer this question several times via message or something. And also don't use this for piracy support, because if you play some backups and you like the games, please support the developers and buy the game. And also modding is not illegal, so you're allowed to jailbreak your PS3, you're allowed to install a custom firmware, but you're not allowed to download and share games. That is illegal, and this is called piracy. And I'm also not responsible for breaking your console, so please read the tutorials, I don't know, 3 or 4 times until you understand every step, and then do this. So I'm not responsible if you break your console. And what I wanted to say too is that the PS3 scene is almost dead. So that means there are not too many jailbreak hacks out there, and as you can see on the Xbox 360 there are several hacks on how to hack it, how to reset glitch hack it, how to do a cheat hack or something. And on PS3 you only have what I can say 2 methods on how to get how to play backups. Okay, then let's get started and talk about the hacking methods. So the first one is the jailbreak. It's the most common one, and the jailbreak only works if you are in a system software which is 3.55 or below. So if you are over 3.55, you have to downgrade in order to do a jailbreak, and downgrading doesn't work on all devices, and also the jailbreak therefore does not work on all devices. And yeah, jailbreaking basically works by installing a custom firmware to your PS3. This is a customized firmware which enables the PS3 to run unsigned code, to run homebrews, and in order to run homebrews you can also run backups. And custom firmware is also called CFW. And then I will also talk about dongles and drive emulators. Okay, so what I said before, if you are over 3.55 you have to downgrade, and you can do this with a hardware flasher like the E3 flasher or a Progskeet. And just to mention, there's also a Infectus hardware flasher, but this isn't used anymore. And yeah, so let's talk about ODE. ODE stands for Optical Drive Emulators. There are currently 2 brands available, like the Cobra or the Freaky. I will later show you what you can do with this. And I will also talk about dual Nand, dual NOR, and with Nand or NOR flashers. Okay, then let's come to the jailbreak. The jailbreak, as I mentioned, allows you to run unsigned code, and you can also host modded lobbies. If you ever wondered how you can get those XP booster lobbies in Call of Duty, then you can also run backups while you are on a CFW. And CFW stands for custom firmware. And you can run homebrews, so NES emulators, Nintendo emulators, everything you want to. You can run Linux by installing other OS, and you can mod games. You can almost do everything with your PS3 if it's jailbroken. And as I mentioned, you can jailbreak if you're on 3.55 and below, and if you're not on 3.55, that means higher, you have to downgrade. And yeah, there's also a little risk of breaking your PS3 if you don't follow the tutorials exactly and if you don't read them exactly, but it's really a little risk. And breaking your PS3 is equivalent to throwing it into the trash, so that means you have to unbreak it, and you need a hardware flasher for this, and this is very complicated. Okay, then the most common question is, can I jailbreak my PS3? So basically yes, if it's running on 3.55 or below. And so the people want to know what is 3.55 and how do I know if I'm even running on 3.55. And yeah, to check what your system software is on your PS3, you have to go to System on your XMB, then you go to Settings, and then you go to System Information. Then you should see the picture on the right, and where it says System Software, then Version, and the number after version is your current system software. That means your current firmware. So if you're over 3.55, you have no chance and you have to downgrade. Okay, so what do I need for a jailbreak? For a jailbreak, you basically just need a USB drive and a PS3 on 3.55. So if you are below 3.55, you just have to update to 3.55 and follow then any jailbreak tutorial. It's very easy, you can't really do anything wrong. And I would suggest this tutorial here. You can click on the link in the PDF and just follow this here. So if you're not on 3.55, you have to consider, can I jailbreak my PS3? And yeah, as I said, if you are below, yes, works. Just update and follow some tutorial. And if you're higher than 3.55, it does not work. It really does not work without a downgrade. And if anyone says you can jailbreak your PS3 and you know that you're higher on 3.55 and he says you do not have to downgrade, then it's a scam. There is no way without downgrading. Okay, then the most common question too is what custom firmware should I take? I always recommend taking the Rogero firmware because it's very common software. It's one of the biggest. Then there are several other custom firmwares like the KMEAW, then Rebug, and there are also some dongle specific firmwares, like if you have a Cobra dongle, then there's a Cobra firmware, and also for the True Blue dongle there's a specific firmware, and you can install this too if you want to. And stay away from fresh and unknown releases. So if you are in a forum and someone offers you a custom firmware and says this is the best custom firmware and it's the newest one, and you never heard of this, then don't install this because maybe you can break your PS3. Okay, so let's talk about PSN Acces. Yes, it's possible to access PSN with a custom firmware. You have to spoof, and this makes your PS3 think that you are on the latest original firmware, and this allows you then to data transfer to your retail, and you can PSN and SEN access with a bypass. Okay, then you can also get banned if you are online with a custom firmware. The risk is it's not that low. Many people get banned in the last time, and there's always a risk of getting banned. And currently there's no unban tool for firmware 4.46, and if a unban gets possible, I will update it into the description. Okay, then some common question is how to prevent the ban. And you should never mod new games unless you're offline. So if you mod games and you're online, you can get banned. Never use mods online too. And only use mod for your own fun, and don't troll people with this or something. They will report you and then you get banned. And also never use homebrews for a long period while you're connected online. This is also a big fact of getting banned. And never use your main SEN account, and also don't use pre-releases. As a pre-release said, so beta releases of custom firmwares, because they can be detected easily. And also try and avoid staying online the whole time. So log out if you don't want to be in PSN or something, and also don't use the sign in automatically option. So you're only online if you want to, and yeah. Okay, let's talk about downgrading. Downgrading means getting your firmware down to 3.55 to run a jailbreak. Okay, then let's talk about downgrading. So downgrading means getting your firmware down to 3.55 to be jailbreakable. And it isn't possible on all PS3s, and you have to determine if it's possible on your PS3. So the first thing you need to think about is, what PS3 do I have? And as you can see, the big one on the left is called FAT. The second release in the middle is called Slim, and the right one is the newest one, which is called Super Slim. And you can also see the model number here on the top, but the numbers can vary depending on your hardware revision. So how to identify your model number? It's very easy. You just turn your PS3 to the back, and on the back there is a sticker which says serial, and after the serial number you can see your model number. And as you can see, those numbers can vary depending on your hardware revision of the PS3. Okay, after you have your model number, you can go into this chart here and determine if your PS3 is downgradable. So just go to the left and check your model number, then you go to the SKU release date, it's the stock keeping unit release date, and then you check if it's downgradable and minimum praxis on the right. And as you can see, all FATs are downgradable to below 3.55, so you can hack every FAT. Even if it's on 4.46, you can downgrade to, depending on your model, to 1.00. Okay, then here's the chart for the PS3 Slim. It's the 2000 series, and as you can see, not all models here are downgradable. That means your PS3 has to be at least once on the firmware. So if your PS3 was never on 3.5, you can't downgrade to 3.5. And that's really bad, as you can see. Same model, but different SKU release dates. Depends if it's downgradable or not. As you can see, the CECH25XXA, there are two versions, and one with a SKU of 09/2010, and the second one is with 1/2011, and the second one is not downgradable because it never was on 3.55 or below. And yeah, and after this here, after 1/2011, there is no downgrade anymore possible. As you can see in the next chart, for the Slim 3000 and the Super Slim, there is no downgrade available. And I don't know if there will be even a downgrade for Super Slims. As you can see, after 6 years of PS3, you can't even hack about half of all PS3s, and that's really bad. And as you may know, the PS4 is also coming now, and I don't really think that there will be much development on the PS3 Super Slim. Okay, so what do you need for downgrading? For downgrading you need a Nand flashing device, so this is a hardware flasher which flashes your Nand of the PS3. There are two devices which you can buy. The first one is the E3 flasher and the second one is the Progskeet. The E3 flasher is a little bit more expensive but easier to use, and the Progskeet is a little bit cheaper, but it's a little bit harder to use, I think. Also there's the Infectors, but you can't even buy this anymore, I think, and it's also not used, and there are no tutorials on this, and I don't think that it can downgrade from 4.0 to anything below. Then you need a downgrade dongle, and I would suggest that you also take a power switch, because it's good to have this. And you also need a USB drive and a micro SD card if you have the E3 flasher, because you have to store all the shit on the micro SD card and also update it over the micro SD card. Okay, then go to Nand and NOR flashers, and let's talk about the E3 flasher. As you can see, there's a picture of the E3 flasher. It's solderless. It can downgrade your PS3 to 3.55 or below if your PS3 supports this. And it supports most Slim and NOR flash FAT consoles. This E3 flasher doesn't work with Nand consoles, so you have also to determine, has your PS3 a NOR flash or a Nand flash? Let's go back to the tables. As you can see, depending on your model number, you can see under the flash chart here what flash you have. So most consoles have 16 megabytes of NOR flash, and some old FATs have here 128 megabytes of NAND flash. Just the old ones. So if you need to downgrade an old one with NAND, you can't use a E3 flasher. You have to go with the Progskeet. Okay, so let's go back here. As I previously said, it's no soldering, so you don't need to solder. It's very easy. If you want to downgrade, you have to solder 1 or 2 points, but they are not that hard to. Also, if you want dual boot, you have to solder some 1 or 2 cables. It's not that hard to. And the E3 flasher stays in your PS3 if you want dual boot, but you can also downgrade and then get it out of your PS3 if you want to. So depending if you want to have dual boot. Then it does not work on the newest slims, and it does also not work on the super slims. And the limited edition is a little bit hard to get, and it's very expensive. I think 120 or 130 bucks, which is I bought it for about €100. But it's a really good device, and it's fully upgradable, and it supports only NOR flash. So don't use this for a NAND flash fat console. And there's also some other thing I want to tell you about the E3 flasher, because sometimes you can buy it for $60 or $70 from some Chinese sites, but please don't buy them because they're mostly fakes. That means they are rebuilt from the original using cheaper components, using different PCBs. Also the soldering is mostly bad, and those fakes can break your PS3, so be sure to buy the original E3 flasher. And I heard from some friends that those rip-offs are working, but I saw on many internet forums that rip-offs bricked the people's PS3, and that's really bad. If you only save 30 or 40 bucks on the original. And here on the pictures you can see how to detect the fake. As you can see, the left picture is the original and the right one is the fake. So please compare the PCB, and if it's not original, send it back or don't even buy it if you see the pictures. And let's talk about dual NAND on the E3 flasher. For dual NAND you have to buy the limited edition, because there's an external SATA station in there, or you can get your external SATA station on your own. And you will also need 2 hard drives for dual NAND. That means you have 1 hard drive for the custom firmware and 1 hard drive for the original firmware. But it doesn't matter if you have 3.5 inch or 2.5 inch hard drives, they all work in this external eSATA station from E3. And you can play on PSN with the original firmware without any risks. That means you put in your original firmware hard drive, then you switch the switch on the E3 flasher, and then you're playing with your original firmware and your original NAND in the PS3, and you don't have any risk of getting a ban. Okay, then let's talk about the Progskeet. The Progskeet chip is a universal programmer. That means it works on many devices, like on the Xbox 360, on the Wii, on the PS3, and also on some smartphones. So it's a pretty impressive thing. And it's a fast NAND, NOR, and EEPROM USB programmer. That means you can rewrite all types of flash. So you can rewrite the NAND, NOR. That means you can use it on every PS3. And it's cheaper and easier to get. So the E3 limited edition is hard to get and is also very expensive. But it needs the Injectors GTEC programmer to update it. So updating is a little bit more complicated, like on the E3. On the E3 you just put in your microSD card and you're done. And here you have to use the GTEC programmer. But it isn't that hard to do. And also the newest version supports dual boot, but you need then 2 hard drives, 2 NAND adapters, 2 GB NAND chips, and the flex ribbon cables. And if you want to get the Progskeet, I would recommend buying the full kit, which also includes the injectors, because it's cheaper. And you can solder this chip in, but also the new version has a solderless kit, as you will see on the next slide. Here we have a short comparison of solderless and soldered. As you can see, solderless has a 360 clip, and I personally hate this clip because if you don't have enough pressure, if it don't fit 100% correctly, you get bad dumps and you have to open your console and do the whole thing again. And I really hate those 360 clips. So if you have some soldering skills, you can also solder it in, as you can see on the right picture. But some soldering points are really little, so you have to have good soldering skills. Then I would solder it in. So what is a downgrade dongle and why do we need it? You need the downgrade dongle to get into factory service modes, and this mode is needed for the downgrade. So what dongles can I buy? basically you can buy every dongle. If somebody asks me what should I buy, I say just go for the cheapest which is available. But you have to watch out, because some dongles don't have a downgrade function. But any dongles which say that they are downgradable 3.55, you can buy them. So I have here a few examples which you can buy. There's the Cobra, there's the PS3 Brick, there's the PS3 Kit, E3 card reader, and so on. There are also some self-made dongles like the OpenCubus, which basically is some USB mini computer which you have to flash. This requires flashing the correct text file onto your OpenCubus to make it to a dongle. And also some Android phones are required, so if you have an old HTC Desire at home, you can turn it into a dongle. But you have to watch the compatibility list for PS Groove and PS Freedom. And it also works on some jailbroken iPhone and iPod, so just check if it's compatible with PS Groove or PS Freedom. And just watch out, please don't buy the True Blue or something, because this is just a dongle to play games, but it does not have a downgrade function. So if you want to downgrade, don't buy this dongle, just buy one of the listed above. So let's talk about ODE. ODE stands for Optical Drive Emulator, and this device allows you to play your backup games without a disk. So you can play PS3 backups, you can play PS2 backups, you can play PS1 backups. And it works for almost every PS3, so also the Super Slims are supported. That is really awesome, because they're not hackable at the moment. And you can install this on custom firmware and original firmware. And it's very easy to install because it's solderless. But on some models you have to solder some easy points, so this depends on your model if it's solderless or not. But those soldering points are very easy too, and I think everyone can do this. And you can also switch back to original, so you have two modes on this device. The first one is original modes, playthrough mode, and the second one is emulated mode. For now there are two devices available. The first one is the Cobra and the second one is the free key. And you need to be on 3.55 first to get your drive key, because this device needs your Blu Ray drive key. And after this you can update to the newest original firmware. But currently they're working on it that you don't need to be on 3.55, that you can extract your drive key from the original firmware. But this is currently in beta and they're working on it. And the Cobra is an optical drive emulator, and whilst the free key is a Blu Ray drive emulator. But these devices could maybe be patched in the future, so that means Sony could release a PS3 update which patches the optical drive emulator, and then your device would be useless. But nobody can tell you if they will do. I don't think so, because the PS4 is coming, and I don't really think that there will be so many releases on the PS3, and yeah. So here we got the features of the Cobra ODE. As you can see, it plays homebrews, you can play in pass-through emulation mode, you have a solderless installation on most of the models, you can play PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 backups, and you can also dump your PS3 games. That means you can make ISOs out of your PS3 games from the disk. And it also has PSN support, and PSN support is the thing we are looking for. That means playing our backups online. And before you order this, please make sure that your console is supported, so go onto the CobraODE.com webpage and check if your console is supported. So here we got the free key Blu Ray drive emulator, which works on all PS3 models, and you can play PS3, PS2 and PSX games directly from your USB device. And there is no need for a custom firmware. You only need to be once on a custom firmware to get your drive key, but they're currently testing that you don't have to be on a custom firmware to get your drive key, so the key extraction without the custom firmware, so that you can get your drive key from the original firmware. But this is now in beta and they're testing it right now, and maybe it will come in the future that you don't have to downgrade. And it also supports PlayStation Network Access, and it enables homebrew without a custom firmware. And also no soldering is required as on the Cobra, except on the 3XXX and the 4XXX models. And it has a Linux firmware which is fully updatable. And also there is a recovery mode, so if you have a bad flash you can recover your PS3, which is pretty awesome. And it also has pass-through mode, so you can use a PS3 in normal modes, go to PlayStation Network and don't have any risk of getting a ban. So now the question is, why should I get a optical drive emulator if I'm already on a custom firmware on 3.55? So after the installation with the drive key from the custom firmware, you could install the latest original firmware. With that you can access PlayStation Network and you can easily switch back to a normal PS3 mode, and so you wouldn't even get a ban. And the risk of getting a ban with a custom firmware is really much higher. And so you can also play homebrews and something, and basically there would be no need for a custom firmware anymore. But this could be patched with the latest firmware update. So if Sony wants to patch it, they could release a firmware update and maybe make the optical drive emulator useless. But if this happens or not, only the future can tell us. In the last time Sony did patch many stuff with firmware updates, and then you would need to downgrade again to 3.55 if possible, and go to your custom firmware again. And the ODE would be useless until it may get updated. So let's talk about bricking your PS3. Bricking your PS3 is equally to throwing it in the trash, because you can't do anything with a brick PS3. Signs of a brick are a black screen, a red screen of death, freezes in XMB, auto turn on and off when you want to start your PS3. And there are several things you have to keep in mind to prevent bricking your PS3. So only change files that you know, so where you know what the files are doing. The next thing is do what the tutorial says and try to understand it, so use your brain and think about every step. The next thing is never turn your PS3 off if you think you have done something wrong or it just takes too long time. Be patient, and if you have done something wrong, just find the original files to replace them. Then always back up the files you're modding, so if you mod some files, be sure to make a backup of those files, so if anything goes wrong you can replace them with the original files. And the last thing is never delete files from the system that you don't know what they are doing. So only delete or mod files when you know exactly what you're doing and follow the tutorials. Now the last question is, what is the best method to hack my PS3? For now you can only jailbreak. It's not like on the Xbox 360 that there are several methods on how to hack your console, like GTAG, reset glitch hack, flashing the drive or something. For the PS3 you only have now jailbreaking. This works only if you're on 3.55 or below. If you're not on 3.55 or below, you have to downgrade. And as I mentioned, downgrade isn't possible every time. It depends on your console. And if you can't downgrade and you're not on 3.55, there's currently no way to hack your PS3. There are also the ODEs, the optical drive emulators, but currently they need a custom firmware to get your drive key. So if you can't get a jailbreak, you can't now also don't get a ODE. That means you have to wait until the ODE may works with the original firmware and that you can get your drive key off of the original firmware. Otherwise it won't work and there is no way to hack your PS3. So that means if you know that you can't jailbreak, that you can't downgrade, don't trust people who say they can do this for you and you have to send your PS3 to them or pay them money. They are all scams, so there's currently really no way to do this. So please don't believe those scammers. And here I have some good sources and some good tutorials you can follow. So there are some PS3 noob modding guides, some jailbreaking guides, some downgrading guides with the E3 flasher. And just click on them and follow the links. They have really good instructions, all in English. Only the last link is for Germans only. So if you got questions, please leave a comment under this video, so I only have to answer the same question once. But you could also contact me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter or Skype. And also the download link for this hacking guide is in the description, so download it, share it with your friends if you want to. And I hope this video was helpful for you all guys. And I would really appreciate if you leave a like or positive feedback here in the comments, because these videos here take many time to record, and I have to record them several times because I'm only talking shit sometimes. And yes, so basically that was my hacking guide on how to hack your PS3, and I will update it if something drastically changes. And I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching, and see you in my next video guys. Bye.